The NFL schedule is going to be revealed tonight. We'll have all 272 regular season matchups on paper delivered tonight, although the leaks are already coming fast and furious. I saw the beat writer for the Packers from The Athletic already dropped what their schedule is going to be. But later on tonight, once everything does come through, VSiN tonight, that crew, Matt Humans, Wes Reynolds, and Dave Ross, they're going to give you the breakdown of any updated win totals, any odds adjustments on any of those futures based on how those schedules play out. So you won't want to miss that tonight at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 Eastern. But where things sit for us, Michael, I just wanted to know, as a former executive, when you first got that schedule, when you're looking it over, what are you looking for? What is most impactful for you as you're analyzing the slate for the year?
Well, the first thing is how many quarterbacks you got to face in a row that are really good. You know, that's your first thing. I mean, you want to play. And then how they handled your road schedule. Did they make you, if you're Las Vegas, did they make you fly across country 2 weeks in a row? Mm-hmm. If you're Seattle, they're going to have 31,000 miles they're going to travel this year. You know, how is those 31,000 miles distributed? Is there a way we could stay in a city to kind of bond our team in October or November when we have 2 road games on the West Coast or the East Coast? So those are the kind of things you're looking at. I don't think, and then it's the month of September. Right? So, you know, if you're the Detroit Lions today and you know you open up with Kansas City, now, you're Dan Campbell. You've got to spend time deciding how much of training camp and OTA days you want to devote towards preparing the team to play against Kansas City. Because you only play Kansas City once every 4 years. So it's strange to you. You've not played this. I know you say, well, it's Andy Reid's offense. Well, you haven't played Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. So what you want to try to do in the month of September is handle those situations. Okay, who do we have to play? And then when the schedule comes out, when you're playing Thursday night, you know the month of May, you've got a game plan for that Thursday night game against that team. So you've got to get that in the book. So there's about 5 or 6 things you want to do, none of which is counting wins and losses. You're just looking at it purely from an analytical basis. How can we prepare the team the best way?
That's interesting. So it's different from your perspective. You're not going through and saying, okay, that should be a win. That should be a win. Maybe we can steal that one. That's not on your radar at all.
Not at all, because you don't know the health of the team when you get ready to play them. You know, you're getting ready to play. If Detroit's going to open up with September the 7th against Patrick Mahomes and say he has a sprained toe and he can't play, well, that's a different game, right? So, you know, you don't know about that. You can only control what you can control. The most important thing are those Thursday night games. You know, the Jets are going to play a Black Friday game, right? You know, so you got to figure out how you're handling that. And if it's against a team that you know, if you're playing Thursday night and you're Jacksonville and you know you're playing Houston on Thursday night, that's pretty easy. You kind of have a sense of who they are. Didn't change, you know, Jacksonville didn't change coaches. Houston did, so you study San Francisco's tape. But if you're playing a team that you don't know, say you're the Atlanta Falcons and you're playing, you know, the Las Vegas Raiders, a team you never play, then you got to spend this off season, especially if it's on a short week, to get ready for it.
No question. And so you mentioned it. The first game of the season that we're kicking things off with is the Detroit Lions. They're getting 7 points against the Kansas City Chiefs. We also got the Monday Night Football game for the opening week. Jets host the Bills in an AFC East showdown of 2 potential Super Bowl contenders. Our first look at Aaron Rodgers in a different green for the first time in his career. The Jets are getting 3 in that game. And this is just the start, because you mentioned the Black Friday game as well, just the start of what we anticipate being a number of Jets on primetime games, which is so cool, I think, for the organization, considering I was looking up some numbers. Since 2017, the Jets have played in only 10 primetime games, 4th fewest in the NFL. They might get about half of that number this season or more.
Yeah. Well, once they had the butt fumble, I mean, that kind of did them in, right? I mean, you know, after that, Mark Sanchez's butt fumble on Thanksgiving night, everybody was like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be hard. But look, it's going to be fun to see Aaron Rodgers. I'm surprised the line is -3. I think if you like the Jets in this game, you better take it. I see this line moving because perception will move it, especially the Jets are the home team. You're telling me if the Jets went to Buffalo, they're going to be a 6-point favorite? I don't think so. So I think the Jets, as I've said all offseason, are a lot closer to Buffalo. I found it interesting in reading through a lot of the clips after the draft this week is that Buffalo really considers Dalton Kincaid more of a slot receiver. And that's just what I thought they were going to use him as a slot. Inside, keep Dawson Knox on the line. Then use Kincaid to be able to block the support edge guy, but still have an impact in the passing game. I think that's going to be a really difficult formation for teams to adapt to, assuming Kincaid stays healthy and they kind of find a way to get a power run game. I think that's the key for Buffalo.
Think that's a great opening weekend matchup, one I was definitely excited about. We also got 2 games of what's expected to be a triple header on Christmas. The Raiders are going to be at the Chiefs. That's a simulcast on CBS and Nickelodeon. We also know the Eagles are going to be a 7.5-point favorite at home against the Giants. The ESPN late night matchup, however, yet to be revealed. But Raiders-Chiefs, little rivalry on Christmas.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, my poor grandchildren, they're not going to have Santa. It's going to be, have to wait a day to get Santa in their lives. But, look, it is, we now know the NFL will be the king of Christmas Day. It was last year. It'll be the king of Christmas Day this year. Basketball will take a back seat because these will be great games. And, I think that's fun. Look, who doesn't want to watch football on Christmas Day? I mean, we're all going to get up early because everybody's up early on Christmas Day. Why not start the games and enjoy it, Little eggnog and football. Whoever said there was something wrong with that?
Love it. And then an AFC Championship rematch on New Year's Eve. So one fan base will be ringing in the new year on a high note and the other a little bit sad. But I mean, I'm excited for that game too, because a time of year where playoff positioning is going to be on the line. Chiefs an early 3.5-point favorite in that game. And then, Michael, we got 5 games for the international slate. All of the games are going to be in London and Germany this year, none in Mexico. I guess there's renovations that are going to be taking place at the Estadio Azteca in Mexico City. But this was something I really wanted to ask you about, because weeks 4 and 5, the Jaguars are going to become the first team to play back-to-back games in London. They're a 4-point favorite against the Falcons at Wembley Stadium week 4, getting 3.5 against the Bills at Tottenham Hotspur week 5. And JVT and I were discussing yesterday whether or not, do you think that it's an advantage for the Jags to get to spend the additional time out there and everybody be together, whereas your opponent and the Bills for that second week game are going to have to do the travel and going to have to come? Or is it almost a little bit of a disadvantage that you're just out of your normal surroundings and you're stuck in a place that you're not familiar with?
I think it's a great advantage for Jacksonville. You can bond your team when you go away, and you get used to the time difference. For Buffalo, look, it's going to be it's a little bit different than traveling to the West Coast. You got to get used to the time difference. It'll be a quick flight. I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo just went in there on Friday morning or left Thursday night, got there Friday, played the game Sunday, and came home. So, look, the way these teams travel, I think we make way too much about the travel. The time difference is going to be an element. More problematic is altitude, right? That Mexico City game is at 10,000 feet. That's a problem, and I think you got to handle that. These games over there, I mean, the way we travel, and I'm sure the Patriots will have the week off afterwards if they want that when they come back. Same thing with the Colts. Mm-hmm. When they're over in Frankfurt. But I do know this, from watching the World League in the early 2000s, the Germans love this sport. They love football. They have their own league of football. So I could see this becoming every year. There's 2 games already over there this season. I think it's going to become more and more like that. The NFL is an international brand. There's no denying it. And you could see it right here. And this all these games put more money in the tilt for the players and the owners.
Do you think that there'd ever be an international division?
I do.
Yeah.
I really do. I think London and Germany will get teams eventually. I sure do. I think because of travel. Look, I think that this whole thing with Jacksonville staying over there is a little bit of an experiment to see if Jacksonville could be based in London. I'm not saying they're going to move the team, but there was a lot of talk about Jacksonville moving to London, being the London team. And when they come to America, they would stay for 2 weeks. They go over there, so it would be a little bit of a scheduling. Their base would be in America in terms of working on the draft and working on free agency, but they would play their games over there and practice over there and live over there. So I think this is a step of an experiment. Look, the NFL doesn't do anything just on a random basis. This is kind of calculated, and I think in the future.
Really, really interesting. And yeah, the Jags do have a good amount of fans out there now in London with how many times they've been playing those international games.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.